you know about Association of Indian Management Schools? It's a 34-year-old networking body of B schools in India, having a membership of about 600 top management institutions. AIMS focuses on professionalization of management education, protects interests of B schools, represents management institutions at national and international forums, financially supports members in academic events, funds research projects on management, disseminates management-related knowledge through its annual Management Education Convention, conferences, seminars, roundtables and workshops, organizes free weekly webinars on knowledge sharing and inspiring young leaders sessions for management faculty and students, supports B schools in admissions through Atma, AIMS test for management admissions. Visit https://atmaims.com for more details. Publishes a biannual AIMS Journal of Management. Visit https://aimsjournal.com for more details. Circulates a quarterly e-newsletter on AIMS activities. Conducts workshops on case writing. Encourages AIMS members to be part of decision-making processes as members of chapter management committees and the executive board. Encourages students' participation in free weekly quiz competitions by providing support to interested institutions. Facilitates networking and interaction among B schools. Why would you like to remain a non-member of AIMS? Pay a very low one-time membership fee and enjoy many lifetime benefits. Visit https://aims.org.in for more details.
Very good afternoon to everyone. Welcome to another knowledge sharing session by AIMS. I'm Professor Mohit Sati from Master School of Management, Meerut, which is a 28-year-old AICTE Platinum Category Management institution. And I will be the moderator of today's session. And I have been into teaching from past 14 years and have been working in the fields of big data analytics, business analytics, digital marketing, and I'm taking care of business analytics specialization and industry-oriented curriculum designing at Master School of Management. And today we are about to engage in a highly significant topic, focused on a trending subject, how to make management education industry-oriented. So in the current modern and continuously changing business environment, the importance and value of education that is closely aligned with and tailored for industries and their practical needs are extremely high and should not be underestimated. So the industry-oriented management education is of utmost importance and should be recognized. And that is the major theme of our today's session, as it plays a crucial role in preparing individuals to succeed in real world business environment and scenarios by providing them with relevant skills. And the approach of industry-oriented management education goes beyond the traditional theory-based instructions, providing students with practical skills and real-world insights that are essential for success in their careers. And to put light on such an important topic, we have a very able speaker today. And please allow me the privilege to introduce Mr. Arjun Sharma. He is a very interesting career journey. As I introduce him further, you will get to know the interesting part. He has a very interesting career journey from the Indian Army to the Google. And Mr. Arjun is an accomplished professional with a diverse background in supply chain management, strategic planning, and negotiation. And his experience spans various industries, including technology, manufacturing, consulting, and Indian Army. At Google, Arjun currently holds the position of Global Program Manager in the Google Cloud Division. He has successfully improved on-time capacity deployment of the cloud network through design and user experience enhancements. So his contribution have positively impacted numerous cloud customers. And during his tenure at Apple as the global supply manager, Arjun led the successful design and manufacturing of multiple blockbuster products such as iPhones, iPad, Apple TV, and Mac. And now the interesting part of the story is for me. Before transitioning to the corporate world, Arjun served as an officer in the Indian Army, where he held the leadership role of a major. He was a combat team leader and served in Siachen Glacier, the highest battlefield on Earth at 18,000 feet above sea level. And he has notable accomplishments during this period, which includes being awarded a 3-star General Special Service Medal for exemplary leadership of a 60-man logistic teams. Arjun's guidance, the team successfully coordinated the flawless airlifting of 800 personals and valuable equipments such as vehicles, radars, and worth $10 million into the challenging terrain of Siachen Glacier. So I guess today it's going to be a very interesting session with such a person with such a diverse experience from combat to the corporate, I would say. And now I would not delay it further, but before handing over the session to our speaker, I would share a few instructions for all our session attendees. Number one, participants would not be able to unmute themselves. If they have any question, they can put it in the Zoom chat box and they will be taken care in the end in the Q&A session. And feedback attendance link will be shared in the Q&A session only, and it will be available for 15 minutes. So all the certificates will be issued to only those people who have filled the feedback form. So no delay further now. I would like to request Mr. Arjun to guide us into this very important topic of today. Mr. Arjun, over to you.
Thank you, Professor Mohit, and hello, everyone. Thanks, firstly, for this opportunity to speak at the forum. This is a topic very close to my heart. MBA is one program which helped me transform my journey from military to corporate. Not only did I change industry, I also changed my function and country as well, moved from India to here to California. So yeah, I'm very passionate about the subject. So yeah, as I mentioned, this is a topic which is very close to my heart. I will start a little bit about my career journey and how I came across the MBA program and how I used it to basically transform it and what relevance it has in my personal life. So I will start a little bit talking a little bit about my life journey, how I use this program to leverage my skill set and experience to basically move to another country and use the transferable skills in corporate. So my journey starts at National Defense Academy in India, where I joined a 3-year program right after high school, right after class 12th. Here I received officer training in Pune for 3 years, and further I've moved to Dehradun for specialized military training. From here started my journey in the Indian Army, where I got commissioned as an officer in 2005. So starting in 2005, I had a combat and logistics experience, first of which was in the Siachen Glacier. I will just use pictures here, no words. It's more effective, I guess. So I started my career journey as a combat team leader in Siachen Glacier, which is the highest battlefield on Earth. This was a very good learning experience for me. I was very young at that time. It was physically challenging as well as also a very difficult logistical problem to solve. At that point, where everything is maintained by helicopters, logistics is one of the big challenges which Army faces in that terrain. From there, I moved to the Army Logistics Division, where I spent the rest 7 years of my Army life. Here, I was involved in supply aspects like supply chain management, supplier management, procurement for the Indian Army. I worked at different levels here, starting from regional logistic depots, one of them which was in Ambala, to basically headquarters where I was working on supply chain and logistics strategy for the Indian Army. This tenure also put me through multiple academic programs, which were run by the military for their supply chain professionals. So it was overall a very good supply chain experience for me. This was a time when I realized I wanted to explore the area of supply chain management further, and I wanted to use my skills in the corporate. That's where I decided to go to for an MBA program to Washington University in St. Louis in America. I wrote my GMAT, went to the US for this 2-year program. Now, this was a very unique experience for me because I went there with zero corporate experience. There were people who came from different backgrounds here with different levels of experience. Some people exactly knew what they wanted to do. But for me, MBA was initially the first part of MBA was very exploratory, where I wanted to know what all exists and then see, okay, what I wanted to do and where I fit in the entire corporate picture. So this 2-year MBA in America, in which I did a 6-month internship in consulting in Chicago, just to get a flavor of multiple industries and consulting as an industry. From here, starting my journey in corporate, my first company that I worked for was Apple. I was a part of their manufacturing design division. Here, my job was basically to take the design from the design lab in Cupertino, go to China and figure out how to build these products and what price to pay for them. So I was responsible for taking some of these products, not all of them, some of these products from the design phase to the production phase, and then finally negotiate the per unit cost on behalf of Apple and ramp up these products. Again, a very, very deep learning experience in terms of supply chain operations, supplier negotiation. The scale was very high. It was a very high pressure job in multiple time zones. I would spend 2 to 3 weeks in China at one time and then go back to the US to the headquarters. But this really gave me a very solid foundation in supply chain and operations. Here, I started my career for working 2 years on the iPhone, basically the first iPhone 10 and iPhone 11 when it came out. 2 years of manufacturing design experience, and the last year was on this unique product. I don't know, it's not a very customer-facing product. I don't expect many of you to have seen it because it's mostly used in studios and labs. It's a desktop that Apple built, very low volume product. This is the one I worked on for the last 6 months. And then my journey at Apple came to a halt when COVID happened. All the travel stopped. So I decided to explore other opportunities, and I was approached by someone at Google where they were building a new business, which is a new part of the Google Cloud business. So right before COVID started my journey with Google, I joined their cloud division. It's my 4th year running at Google right now, and I currently again manage supplier relationships and the supply chain for networking products for Google. I work with companies such as Cisco, Juniper, Nokia. These are the companies that build the technology that actually goes into the data centers that Google uses to host their cloud services. So again, a very hardware supply chain negotiations kind of a role. I'm based out of the Mountain View headquarters here in California, and I live in San Francisco. So that's kind of where my journey is right now, and very excited to be here. Outside of work on the personal front, I like to climb mountains. I travel quite a bit, do a fair bit of hiking. I think the biggest thing that I've learned out of all the hikes and trekking that I've done is that it takes a lot of preparation when you're going for a big hike. Just like supply chain, it takes a lot of preparation, but also at the last moment, you have to be flexible. Just like a supply chain professional, you do all the preparation, but things change so dynamically, especially in the current supply chain environment, because of shortages, because of global economic conditions. You have to be flexible enough. So moving on to my MBA journey. So I will just zoom, and what my experience was as an MBA aspirant there. So as I said, MBA was a transformative experience for me. And I realized that when I look at my peer group at MBA, I could divide most of the MBA class into 3 categories. There were people who were career starters, there were people who were career switchers, and there were people who were career enhancers. The first category is the career starters. These are the people who have come either stayed from their undergrad programs, or they were basically doing something else. Now they want to start working in corporate, and they just want to come to MBA so that they can find a job after it. For these people, the biggest objective is to firstly figure out what they want to do, which is achieve clarity on their post-MBA goals, and then second, get hired in that target goal. The second category of people which I came across were career switchers. These are the people who are working as either teachers or they were working as engineers or doctors, and MBA is a very diverse group of people. So these are people who are working to switch their careers from something else to a post-MBA career, which is traditionally consulting, oblique banking, or marketing, or operations, or another corporate finance, or that kind of a role. So these are people who are trying to switch their careers. And the last category were career enhancers. These were people who, after their bachelor's, joined a company, were there in a role, but were not getting enough growth in that role. So they came to business school to basically get formal business education, which they did not get in their bachelor's program, and also to get a stamp of being an MBA or a master's. Especially here in the US, not everyone goes to a master's program. There are people who spend their entire careers just with their bachelor's. So career enhancers are the people who come to MBA who either are stuck in their career, are stagnant, or who want to enhance their careers just to get a stamp of the MBA program. The common things between the first and the second group, which is the starters and the switchers, is the objective one, which I mentioned on the slide: achieve clarity in post-MBA goals. So these are the people who are not sure what they want to do. They have come to explore, and I was in the same group. I was a career switcher. So the first 6 months of the MBA program were very, very useful for me. They put me through multiple modules, which basically included operations, marketing, supply chain, strategy, finance, and some other management-related, general management subjects. This helped me get a flavor of what all exists in the market and what area I would like to specialize in. I kind of knew that I wanted to go in supply chain operations kind of a role, but this was really helpful for me. So I would say the first and the most important objective for business school training is to help the aspirants achieve clarity on their post-MBA goals. This usually happens in the first 6 months to 1 year. In a typical 2-year MBA program, everyone wants to get an internship in the middle so that they can convert it into a full-time opportunity, or at least get a flavor of what they want to do and what they don't want to do. So it is very important for us to help the aspirants achieve clarity on post-MBA goals. And I've been working continuously with the business school where I went for MBA, with the people at the business school. I've been working with them constantly. Every year, I invite them to Google. I used to invite them to Apple for industry seminars and tours. I also go to the business school representing the companies and talk to them about how they can get more savvy towards the industry. My business school did not have a lot of presence on the West Coast, which is in technology. It was mostly a consulting and banking business school. So I've helped them build a presence here in the Silicon Valley and help them hire from here as well. So as coming back to the objective, the first objective is to achieve clarity in post-MBA goals. So one of the things that most business schools do is conduct industry seminars. In this industry seminars, I see that professionals or recent MBA grads from that particular school come back to the school, and I've also been to my business school from my companies, and talk about the industry, the company, and the role they are in. One thing which I've noticed is at times there is over glorification of companies, of company cultures, which is not really honest. So I think first thing which we can do is to make sure that the professionals which come for the industry and seminars give both the good sides and the bad sides of working for that company in that particular role. So some of the things that really help is figuring out the goals of the MBA aspirant, and then actually asking the professional, okay, what is the day-to-day life of a consultant or a banker? Not just work, outside of work as well. Like how much travel is involved, what kind of people, where do you live? Because end of the day, we want people to be motivated in their jobs. It's not just their skill set, it's not just their experience, their motivation also matters a lot. So we want them to be happy in their jobs. So we want them to be motivated. So one thing which helped is to get them clarity on how their day-to-day life is going to look like as a consultant or a banker or a marketing professional. The other thing which I feel is very important for business school students to understand is the role that they are targeting, what are their key responsibility areas going to be, and what are the metrics that are going to matter. So as I say, as a supply chain expert, for me, for example, the most important metric is on-time delivery and the cost of inventory. So these are two metrics I usually deal with. And every job and every position has a metric or a key responsibility area there. So it's very important for students to understand what are going to be the metrics important for their jobs that they're targeting, and what are the skills, both hard skills and soft skills, required for them to do well on those metrics. So I would say if we can reverse engineer this process a little bit and say, okay, yeah, you're going to be a banker, your success will depend on these 3 points. And to get to these 3 metrics, these are the skill sets you're going to need. These are the skill sets you currently have. This is the gap, and this is how we sort of plan to bridge this gap. So an entire game plan which starts at the metrics and goes backwards to the current skill set of the MBA aspirant. So I think that would be a good exercise to do. And then lastly, as I mentioned, it is not just the glory and the good parts of a career that matter. The challenges that any professional sort of faces in day-to-day life, those challenges could be different for different people. If someone says, okay, working with data is a challenge in my career, someone might be very good at data. So he would say, okay, yeah, that's not a challenge for me. So understanding what challenge I can handle and what challenge I can't handle. If there is a challenge that I can't handle, I should not be going into that job. So the first objective, as I said, is to understand what my post-MBA goals are based on my skill set, my experience, and also my motivation. I mean, I can build my skill set during the MBA program, but I can't build my motivation. If I'm not motivated towards a certain job, I should definitely not be targeting it. The second objective. So once you achieve clarity on what once you achieve clarity on what your target role is, or let's say you have 3 target roles in your mind, you still don't have clarity by the end of 6 months or 1 year, you still don't have clarity. The next step in the journey of an MBA aspirant is to get interviews or get visibility in front of the hiring committees of these companies. So the equation it's a simple equation which I follow and I tell everyone who comes to me for career advice is the first thing you should have is a strong resume, because a resume is the piece of paper that speaks for you. It is the most important piece of real estate that you have. Every word, every inch of what is written on your resume matters, because that's the first thing anyone reads when you send them your details. So I think resume training is very, very important. And it's not just from hiring from business school perspective, but also as you move ahead in your career, your resume will keep evolving. In most cases, students don't end up staying at the same company for an extended period of time. They join a company for a year or 2 or 3, and then they start looking for growth, or they start looking for a different role, or they start looking for different culture, different geography. That necessitates them to leave that company and go to another company. And I think resume training or working on resume is such a skill which is useful not just at the MBA level, but also after you graduate and you're in a job. The next part of the equation is networking. So there is not enough emphasis I can place on networking. Networking basically means going and talking to people and telling them your story. So this would include, okay, this is what I've done till now, these are the skills I've learned, and this is what I want to do, this is why I want to do it, and this is why I'm a good candidate for this job. So I think networking is a thing which starts coming naturally to you after you do it enough. But it is very important that at business school level, we tell students that they should be reaching out to people, they should be talking to people as much as possible and telling them their story. So once you have your resume right and once you network enough, you get an interview. And as I mentioned, resume writing services or resume writing training is something definitely very important. The next part is networking training and networking opportunities. And networking is just not just phone calls or during seminars. First of all, the students should be exposed to all the mediums of networking that we use in this time. LinkedIn is a very powerful tool which everyone uses. Reaching out to people, telling them about what you need and what you're looking for and what you have. That's LinkedIn is a very powerful tool. And then cold emails, seminars, then the case competitions. Everywhere there's a networking opportunity. And the last part is once you get an interview based on your resume and networking, interview training. This is one thing which I feel that there is a huge opportunity in improvement. Interview training necessarily means not just the interview question that you expect, but also behavioral questions where people ask about teamwork, about leadership, about working with difficult people, about failures. So I think interview training is one of the big aspects which most business schools need help on. So I think these two objectives are the two main objectives which help people get placed in their target jobs. All right, so MBA, as everyone knows, that it's one of the most sought after graduate programs right now. It kind of promises to be a magic wand, which is basically people look at MBA as a short route to a high paying job. That's currently what the equation is. People come to a business school saying, okay, my output here is a good internship and a good full-time offer. Not a lot of people come to business schools just for the objective of learning. More importantly, one advantage that MBA programs mostly offer is they admit students from all subject backgrounds. So people come with zero corporate knowledge. They were in my business school, there were about 140 people, and out of which 15 were army veterans. So came with zero corporate experience, corporate knowledge. So that's one of the. But at the same time, I feel that business schools sometimes emphasize on research at the expense of practical experience in a classroom. So there is so much research, so much academic rigor going on in a classroom that is the practical experience part of it sometimes suffers. And then there comes a question: are the business schools preparing graduates in a useful way for career in management after business school? Especially in the last 25 to 30 years, we've seen a huge growth in the number of business schools, and across the country, we see that a large number of business schools and MBA programs, not just in India, across the world, even here in the US, I realized that they're not able to produce the desired results. And these desired results, when I say, they're basically getting the aspirant the job that they wanted, or helping them get clarity on the job. Or the third objective, as I'm going to talk about, is make sure that when they leave the business school and they are in their jobs, they are performing at a level where they are successful and happy. A lot of business schools I see have become very internally focused. They deliver a syllabus which is not very in sync with the contemporary realities. And on the other hand, what is happening is when recruiters come to the campus, they're looking for candidates who can hit the ground running, who don't need a lot of formal training. They can just ease into the job and start delivering in the first few weeks. I remember when I joined Apple, in my second week, I was on a project working from a different city. And in the third month, I was presenting updates directly to the director at Apple. So the idea of soft landings does not exist in a lot of companies anymore. Gone are the days when new management trainees remained trainees in the recruiting company for a year or two. I've heard of this culture where there used to be management trainees who used to stay trainees for 6 months to a year. That does not happen anymore. Within months or sometimes weeks, people are just in front of leadership presenting their work. So I think business and project team leads and executives today are integral part of campus hiring. So what we see these days is that there are business executives who are coming to the campus to pick the right talent. They're looking for very specific skill sets, and not just skill set, they're also looking for a specific aptitude among the applicants who can join their teams. Because when they're betting on a person, they want him to deliver, because they don't want to be doing their jobs. They don't want to be doing extra work just because they had an incompetent hire. So onboarding in these days is counting in days or weeks rather than months or years, which it used to be before. So I think it's very important at this point that we have relevancy, that at an MBA level instructor, at an MBA level faculty, we have more of practitioners who are teaching at the MBA courses, who have been in the industry, who know what is working, and they're also in touch with the industry people. Basically, some sort of a two-way movement of staff, what they call a revolving door here, where there is a free flow of professionals between academia and business. There are people who are, and I've seen this practically happening in business schools here and even in India, that there are investment bankers who leave their careers, or consultants leave their careers to be teachers at MBA schools. For that to happen, the career as a business school professor has to be lucrative enough for people to leave industries. So that's one way, a two-way movement of staff, building communication links and networking between academia and organization, which really helps build that base. End of the day, the idea is to help business school aspirants face real world situations. For example, how to win clients, how to deal with competitions. That way we can get courses closer to the real world. Also, one other thing which I notice is a lot of academic research does not pass through a practitioner before publication. So academic research, especially in management, has to be very practitioner oriented, and MBA is a practitioner's degree. So I feel it's very important for us to understand that the end objective of any research at management is practice. So coming to the third objective that I have. So the first objective which we covered was achieve clarity on post-MBA goals. Second objective was get hired at the target company. And third objective was, after you get hired, it's important to deliver what your role expects from you and also be satisfied in that role. So as I mentioned, it's not just your skills, it's also the motivation that matters. And because MBA is an investment of time and money. The tuition fees are very high. You spend 2 years of your life, so there is an opportunity cost to that. So you want, after an MBA, you want to be in a position where you are happy what you're doing. So the third objective is success and happiness in post-MBA careers. So one of the things which I already mentioned is employee interchange, strengthening ties between academia and industry. This basically enables a free flow of professionals between academia and industry. This not just brings a very rich experience from industry to academia, it also helps build connections between industry and academia, which in turn helps in recruitment, which is the primary objective of any MBA program. So, and then once we have MBA faculty which is in touch with industry, they can help students get projects and they can help students get real world experience. So employee interchange, a very critical part of any MBA program. The second point is maintain an equilibrium between practical and fundamental research. So there's a lot of research that happens during at business schools, especially tenured professors are required to publish research papers in their tenure from time to time. This research, based on my exposure to research, because I worked with my professors during my MBA time, is very, very fundamental and not very practice oriented. And MBA being a practitioner's degree, there has to be an equilibrium between this research being practical, usable, and being fundamental. So that's something business school should be focusing on. The third point, which I already mentioned, is require the academic research to pass through practitioners' review prior to publication. So basically, if there is a research about the banking industry, it has to be vetted by someone in the industry itself. Another way by which we can make business school education more valuable is work on case studies with corporations. This is possible only if the business school faculty has good connections with industry and they're ready to give that kind of exposure to business school students. So for any corporation to be willing to give a student an opportunity to work on a real business problem, that industry or that company has to have good faith on the quality of the students that a business school produces. And that's where connections and networking comes into play. If the business school students are good at networking, if they can put their story forward, it's very easy for companies to give real life projects to students. The next one is boost faculty-driven consulting and training initiatives. Involve industry professionals in curriculum development, which means that and as mentioned before, the curriculum at some business schools is kind of stagnant. They don't revise it enough. And when there is an yearly revision of business school curriculum, it should definitely be done in consulting with the industry professionals. So let's say you're looking at the syllabus for a strategy module, or let's say a marketing module during the business school. It should definitely involve industry professionals from marketing who should be looking at the module and say, okay, this is relevant, this is not relevant, this is actually outdated, or this is not how things work in the real world right now. And then finally, I am a big proponent of non-written exams. I think written exams are okay till undergrad or like grad school programs, but for MBA, it should be more of a project-centered assessment, because project is the kind of work which you do when you join a company. You work on projects, so which involves teamwork, which involves your skill set, communication, and everything. So I think all the attributes which a person needs to be successful and happy in a post-MBA job, they are better judged using projects and not exams. And the next and the last thing which I want to emphasize on is we might spend enormous amount of time building skill sets, teaching students how to communicate, helping them figure out what career to choose. But the most important thing is helping them imbibe the corporate culture, which is basically helping them think from the mindset of a professional. So these are the 4-5 things which I can clearly point out. The first thing is master the basics. So I feel that the old-fashioned things which we were taught, and I was taught all of these things in the military, but everyone is taught these things at some point in their lives. These are simple things that stand out. Look people in the eye, see what you say what you'll do to deliver on your promises. Be on time or early for everything. Practice a good posture, have a confident handshake. I know these things sound a little silly, but they are all free to learn. There is no money required to learn these skills, and these will never go out of style or out of fashion. The second thing which I can't overemphasize is hard work. And there is this, not a new, but there is a trend of people, everyone saying that, oh, you should work smart and not work hard. But I feel that you should work hard first and work smart later. It's in vogue to say that working smart is all that matters, but I don't think that is right. If you want to accomplish something meaningful, you have to start by working hard, build a reputation for working hard, and then you can maybe leverage that to work smarter. But starting over with thinking, okay, working smart will get me where I want to get, I won't say that's the right approach. The third, and I would say a very critical skill, which I feel has helped me getting where I wanted to get, was storytelling skills. I feel that the business leaders or the CEOs of the world right now are not the most talented or the smartest people in their companies. They're definitely not the smartest people in their companies. They're exceptional at first aggregating data, understanding it, and second, communicating it simply and effectively, keeping in mind who the audience is. So I think storytelling skills is something that should be taught at every business school. As I tell people, data in, story out. If you're looking at data, even in general life, if you're looking at a number, try to imagine the story behind it. Build that skill, and you'll always be valuable. In every meeting you go, your basic objective is to convince people for doing something, and for that doing something, data is always important. So I think data and story out is one of the biggest skills that I feel we should be teaching in school students. And then the next one I feel is problem solving. If you can build out a reputation for problem solving, figuring it out, it's a world full of ambiguities. And I think dealing with ambiguity is one of the biggest skills I look for when I go interviewing out for people, for my team or other teams. I ask people about situations where they dealt with ambiguity, how they dealt with, what was the data that were missing, what did they do to figure out, and how did they make a decision based on incomplete information. So it is very good to build a reputation for figuring it out. And especially post MBA careers, for the first few years, you will be given a lot of tasks and you would have no idea how to complete it. And I feel that there is nothing more valuable than someone who can figure it out. So do some work, ask the questions, and get the work done, and you will always be valuable in the organization. And last one, which is a bit of a hack, I feel, is that always observe the people above you, figure out what they don't like to do, learn what they don't like to do, and take it off their plate. It's an easy win. If there is intense data work that your manager doesn't like to work or your director doesn't like to work on, take it off his or her plate, and it's an easy win for you. I call it swallow the frog. Basically, prioritize the tough tasks and learn your boss's least preferred tasks and take them on. So this sort of brings me to an end of my thoughts here, put them in a slide. Happy to answer questions if there are any. Professor Mohit.
Yeah.
Over to you.
So it was a very enriching session for all of us, and I would request people to share their questions in the chat box. Meanwhile, I have a few questions. Mr. Arjun, what is your suggestion for faculties to make their subject industry oriented?
To make the subject industry oriented. Okay, so I would break down this problem into multiple parts. Firstly, I would say, okay, the input that comes to a business school is aspirants, people who come with a plan to join different industries. What are the target industries that these students are targeting? So I would break down the problem into, okay, what are the industries that we are targeting? So let's say we are targeting 4 or 5 major industries: consulting, banking, marketing, supply chain, and maybe HR. So let's say we're targeting these 5 industries. I would try to, as a faculty, I would try to build relationships with employers for these industries in my target market and ask them, okay, when you're hiring a typical B school aspirant, what a typical B school graduate, what are you looking for? And then I would try to build a curriculum backwards from their requirements and just ask them, okay, what are you looking for when you're hiring someone? And what are the traits that are needed in a person to be successful in that job? Because when you have people coming into a business school, they will say, okay, I want to be a consultant. So then you have 2 sets of qualities ready. One is how to become a consultant, and second is how to be successful as a consultant. And then I feel ideally you should do a match between those qualities and your curriculum and see what is missing. So I would say reverse engineering it from the terminal objective of the MBA program, which is employment, to what we are teaching at the business school, and how do both of these match. I think it would be a good exercise to do for each and every industry and each and every role that a post-MBA graduate targets from a particular business school.
Okay, fine. So I have another question. Can you guide on the process and the scope of industry and educational institution collaborations, like for creating a teaching pedagogy that is industry oriented? What can be the process and scope for the collaboration between the institutes and the corporates or industries?
So let me understand the question first. So you're saying, how do we make sure that we have collaboration?
There are many institutes over here in India, and they are teaching, but they don't know the way out to reach to corporates to collaborate so that they can imbibe their industry oriented flavor into their campus or the qualities in their curriculum. So what can be the process for them?
Got it. So one of the things that I mentioned in the presentation, the revolving door concept, a two-way movement of industry professionals into colleges. So a two-way movement of people, even if there are retired professionals who want to come and help out into colleges, build those connections between academia and industry, help a free flow of information of what is needed, not only when a candidate goes for an interview, but also on a day-to-day basis or month-to-month basis, figure out what their needs are. It is just like a factory. What is the raw material they need to build a company, which is that is employees, and what are the qualities that they need in that raw material. So I think enabling free flow of information between a business school and the industry around it. And when I say around it, in that geography, in the target geography or that business school, or even in other parts of the country. So I think free flow of information, and that can be built through multiple ways, which is having faculty as a business school which has industry experience, or reaching out to industries. I don't think any industry or any company would be willing to not even talk. They would definitely be willing to talk and give information about their hiring needs, because I think as much as it is important for an MBA grad to get hired, it is equally important for a company to find a suitable candidate. And I realized it when I started doing interviews and starting hiring people here, that it's very difficult to get the right candidate. There are hundreds of people who are trying to get into these companies, but also there are hundreds of people who are trying to hire at the same time. So in my understanding, companies would be more than happy to give out that information.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much. So I have another question over here. Over here in India, we have people from diverse background when it comes to students of MBA programs and PhD programs. Like some are from BA, some are from BSc, BCom, and they have been from places where they were not working hard while they were in UG programs. So now, and you have stated a lot many things that we need to imbibe or put into our students. In their attitude, basically, like they should hard work, they should prioritize things, and there are various things that you have stated over there. So what should we do to train those people who have not been working hard enough and not using their potential to the fullest that they could have used in the management program?
Right. So I understand the question. So I completely agree with you. There is a huge cultural shift when people from non-corporate backgrounds or non-corporate educational backgrounds come to a business school. If someone has gone to school for an arts degree, it is definitely not as aggressive or as intensive as an MBA program. Like MBA programs have classes that start at 8 o'clock, and then there are networking sessions in the evening, and there are case studies, there are group assignments that you have to do, and not a lot of I would say arts and sciences programs have that kind of academic rigor that an MBA has. So yeah, it's important that there is that mental shift that happens, that okay, you are here for 2 years. Your first objective is to get a good internship, and the second objective is to get a good full-time employment. How that mental shift happens is very important to notice by the faculty. Firstly, when people are applying to a business school, in the brochure itself, or when they're coming asking for information about the program, it should be clearly told to them, okay, yeah, you're here, we will help you get the job you want, but you'll have to work hard with us. This is the minimum number of hours which you need to study to do well in academics, plus this is the number of hours, approximate number of hours which each student spends on going out, networking, resume preparation, interview preparation, to get the result that you want out of business school. So I would say if we could clearly pronounce in terms of time, how much time students need to, so that when they're coming to the business school, they come ready for it. They don't come with unrealistic expectations that, okay, we'll just spend 2 years here and we will get our dream job. And that's the kind of expectation that some people come with and end up getting disappointed. So I think being upfront in the beginning of the program, or even when they're inquiring for the program, that this is a rigorous program, we help people get the jobs they want, but you have to work hard with us. And then keeping the students motivated by making them speak to professionals, making them speak to people who are already in their dream job is very, very important. The other tool which I feel is underused is student counseling, helping students realize where they are stuck and helping them unlock their potential is very, very important. If someone is stuck because of a skill gap and he's not able to understand it, I think it's responsible to faculty to step up and say, okay, I see that you have not done well in your data analysis projects. Do you think there is a skill gap? How do you think we can bridge that gap? I think these things are very, very important to make sure that they have a fulfilling experience during the MBA program.
Okay. So now I have a question from the audience, and they want to ask that how to leave the comfort zone that is stopping in career growth.
How to leave a comfort zone that is stopping in career growth. So I think, I feel that, as I mentioned, we all are equally smart. We all are have equal kind of experience. I think motivation is the differentiator here. People are motivated or not to leave their comfort zone. And you're right, it's not always very easy. There have been times in my life where I've also questioned, okay, yeah, I'm doing all of this. Will I get the return or not for this? And am I leaving my comfort zone, working long hours or traveling for work or anything? Coming to the question of how to do it, I think when you're looking at something and you feel that you'll have to leave your comfort zone for it, it's very important to tell yourself, okay, well, what am I getting out of it? Am I doing an MBA just for an experience? Am I doing an MBA because I want to, I don't know, be a student again or live in a city again? Or am I doing MBA because I want to get my dream job, advance in my career, advance in my life? So I think getting clarity on what you actually want helps you stay motivated. And it's not, there is no silver bullet to, like there's no specific formula which I can give you and say, okay, this is what you can do to stay motivated. It is a very day-to-day, week-to-week process. There are days when I wake up in the morning and then Monday I'm like, okay, yeah, this is an 8 o'clock meeting which I have to dial into. I'm not super motivated, but I know that this happens in everyone's life. We are motivated, unmotivated, but if we have our eyes on the long-term objective, we know that we'll get over the lack of motivation. So lack of motivation is a real thing everyone fights with. It's not you or me or anyone. Everyone goes through those phases. It's very important to keep your eyes on the prize. I think I would say get clarity on your long-term objective and just keep your eyes on it.
So I have a question, like I'm just rephrasing that question for better clarity. It's about internship, and so how to make internship effective so that it delivers a result in the form of learning as well as delivers placements to the students.
Yeah, that's a very good question. So I had an opportunity to intern at a consulting firm in Chicago. It was a supply chain consulting firm doing projects for a company called Caterpillar, which makes JCBs and bulldozers. So we were doing supply chain projects for them. Typically, what happens in an internship program is it is very structured. So they know that they're going to get five interns. They go and figure out 5 projects for them. They are, okay, this is your project, this is your project. They give 5 projects to those interns. And then they ask the interns to present on the last day or the last week what they've done in that project. So, and then as an intern, when you go there, you get a project, you are not able to figure out how impactful that project is. If the project that you're given is not impactful, no matter how well you do on it, it is not going to make an impact and you're not going to find an offer or a return offer. So I think in my understanding, the most important thing is to not stick to the project that you're given and to understand what is happening at the company on a day-to-day level and what are the challenges that they are facing. Not just sticking to the project that you were given, but work closely. Like I was working there with a partner who was working on an analytics project, which I got involved into. So I was asked to leave my assigned project midway and spend more time on that, which gave me like a real life view of what challenges they were facing. So I think the most important thing is to understand that you don't have to stick to the project that they give you. If you find that it is not impactful enough, if you think it is not important enough, you can go and speak to them and tell them, okay, yeah, I will do this project, but I'm also willing to put in extra hours and work on a real life problem that you're working on. They might give you like an Excel sheet to work on or a presentation to build, which is good because you're working on real stuff and not a project that was designed for an intern. So I think that's the most important thing, to analyze what you're given and whether it is impactful enough or not.
Okay, so there is a question again on the same line that we have been talking about in a while. That how do we create an industry academia interface for you? So it's in the same line.
How do you create an academy? Okay.
Industry academia interface, like interface.
Okay, got it. Yeah, again, I would say I think relationship with industry is a very critical part of any business school. There are people who are hired for this job at business schools. Most of the business schools have placement cells or career centers where there is an entire staff the responsibility of the staff is to make sure that the relationship with the industry are good enough for them to come and hire. So there are multiple opportunities, and I've mentioned some of them in the slide, which is basically seminars, getting real life projects from companies, making sure that there is enough representation of industry in the college in form of professors. So we have a good mix of faculty which has real life experience. So I think all those things in conjunction work.
Okay, fine. So there is a question that is asking you to provide some advice for youngsters. Like whole session was full of that, but still we have a question that what is your advice for youngsters?
Yeah. No, I think I feel that especially people who are coming to a business school, I would say 10 years back, let's say 10 years back, the opportunities used to be limited. You could go into HR, you could go into marketing, you could go into finance, maybe a strategy role. But now I see that business school, the people who graduate from business school go into multiple industries. People are going into managing sports teams. People are going into a lot of private equity positions are open now. So there are a lot of interesting things people can do from a business school. So I would say if you're coming to a business school, take your time to figure out what you want to do. Because people come to business schools with a very set mindset. Okay, I want to be a consultant. But when they actually become a consultant, they feel that they don't want to live in hotels all their lives, or they don't want to eat that food, or they don't want to travel. So don't just think about the job, also think about the life that comes along with the job. When you're thinking about banking, think about the life that comes with banking. Think about marketing, think about the life that comes with marketing. Also think about the place that you will be living in, because you are spending at least, I would say, 8 to 10 hours at work, which is a big part of your life. So don't just think in terms of career, also think in terms of lifestyle before you make a decision of what to pursue at a business school. I think that's the most important thing.
Okay. So the session was so insightful that we didn't even realize that we reached the time to wrap it up now. We have stepped 1 minute extra. So to move further, I would like to extend the vote of thanks to our speaker, Mr. Arjun Sharma. Thank you very much for being here and sharing your experiences and knowledges and such a practical insight about things of industry that is required right now to be part of management education. Thank you very much, Arjun, for being with us.
Thanks, Professor Mohit. Thanks for this opportunity, and feel free to share my email if anyone wants to connect, and I will share the presentation as well. And if anyone has any queries, feel free to reach out specifically about any of the topics that I covered. Thanks a lot for the opportunity.
So now I would like to extend my regards and heartfelt thanks to the President of AIMS, Dr. R. Nanda Gopal, and Mr. Sudhir Sharma, the Regional Vice President of AIMS, and all the board members and AIMS secretariats, and all our lovely participants that were with us throughout in the session. Thank you very much, everyone. So we are signing off now. And thank you very much, Arjun, again.
Thank you. Thank you.